than 100 days from the Iowa Democratic Caucus, and joining us now to tell us why he's the candidate who should be the next president. Please welcome back Senator Cory Booker.
This is where it all began for me.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Nobody wins without appearances on The View. I'm
That's
just
why I
saying.
started here. February 1st.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start with a hot topic
Yes.
that we haven't gotten to yet here at the table. The New York Times pointed out yesterday that when this Democratic primary started, it was the most racially diverse in history. Yet now the top-tier candidates are all men and all white.
Well, Elizabeth Warren is.
No, Elizabeth Warren is not a
The
man.
top three. The top three.
She's
top three.
she's
That's what
She's polling one.
I'm just citing the New York Times.
But you know, I get my
Okay.
polls.
That's why I don't cite
So
them.
let's
That's what they're
let's
saying.
be clear on one thing. The leader in the polls
Oh,
is
and
far out.
three are men.
Yes.
Yeah.
The leader in the polls is far out in the Democratic Party has never in our lifetime ever gone on to be president. They've always been, think Jimmy Carter polling at 1% right now, Bill Clinton polling at 4%. This dude that married a woman named Michelle, he was about 15, 20 points behind Hillary. It's we've always elected young, dynamic, unifying candidates that actually emerged late. They peak late. Even John Kerry was polling at 4% and then went on to win the Iowa caucuses.
See, I've been saying that it's too soon.
Yes.
And you agree.
I agree with the exception of one thing, to be very blunt. This is a different kind of election where there's so many of us in there, so it's diluting everything, sucking a lot of the resources. So campaigns like mine, the biggest challenge we have, in fact, in Iowa right now, which is a caucus state that I know Megan understands this because it's all about organizing on the ground, the caucuses, about 250,000 people. We've got me and Elizabeth Warren lead the whole pack in endorsements of local elected officials. Iowa starting line, Des Moines Register has said last month, said over the time of this election that we have the two best teams on the ground, but everybody else is hiring up. Our big issue right now is keep getting enough money to stay in. So we're pushing everybody to CoryBooker.com that can, because this election is going to be determined on the ground, organizing. It's not going to be determined by the polls this far out.
I'm not a poll person.
Yeah,
I don't listen to them at all. But
the diversity
it's also going to depend on the people.
Yes.
It's really about the people, because polls don't mean jack. Nothing means anything without y'all getting in.
Gotta vote.
The polling and into the voting booth.
But let me be clear, because the part of that article I found really interesting is the diversity issue.
Exactly.
You know, we lost Wisconsin, I think, by 7 to 11,000 votes.
Right.
In Milwaukee alone, there were about 70,000 less African Americans that came out to vote in 2016.
Yes, they weren't
voted.
energized.
If we don't have a candidate that can excite and energize the full breadth of our party, if we don't have somebody that can unify the Democratic Party, because we have divisions amongst Democrats, but African American voters in particular, the biggest voting bloc, the most loyal voting bloc in the Democratic is black women.
Yes.
And so if we don't have a candidate that can inspire and ignite, there's a lot of black women in the audience here, they can inspire and unite record turnouts, a movement election, we're not going to beat Donald
Which brings me to this question, really, because Joe Biden actually has that audience.
Yeah.
He's got that vote, especially the black male vote.
Yes.
They like him.
But let me say this. Hillary Clinton in 2008, 2007, right now, Hillary Clinton was beating Barack Obama in the African-American community.
Really?
Yes. Yes, Barack didn't peak amongst African-Americans, so he showed he could win in Iowa.
Well, because they knew her.
But it's not enough to say that you've got 50% of the likely voters.
Okay.
You got to inspire more people to come to the polls than normally do.
I agree with that, but the way I see it, you're positioning yourself or pitching yourself as an alternative to Joe Biden, as a moderate Democrat, right? Am I right?
I'm positioning myself as a person that can bring all sections of our party together.
Well, he's like that too, though.
Okay.
You guys are similar in that way.
All right.
I think.
Yes.
So what is it that you do?
I'm the younger version with less hair.
That's saying a lot.
Okay, yeah.
But here's my question. What exactly is the biggest difference between you and Joe Biden then, in that case?
You know, we have a lot of substantive policy differences. There was a forum, unfortunately, only 3 candidates showed up, talking to formerly incarcerated people. And I said at the end of the forum, I said, look, this is all about who can you trust to get the job done, and the Democratic Party has betrayed your trust. We've been in part of this massive 500% increase in incarceration since 1980.
All right, what about another topic? Give me another one.
So again, when it comes to transformative change, I was a chief executive of a city in the worst economic crisis our lifetime has seen since the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And we didn't just do well, we transformed the outcomes. Newark, New Jersey.
But he was part of a team with Obama that basically got a terrible deficit and brought us back to life.
If Obama was on the stage, I wouldn't be.
Well,
so Obama's not running.
I know, but he was in that administration.
And I think that my strength over Joe Biden, I'm running. First of all, I respect him. I think that anybody wants to try to tear down his character, I will fight against you.
Right.
But I am running because I think this country needs a dynamic leader who can inspire and engage the electorate, who can point to the future and how we're going to get there together.
So the implication of what you're saying is that he's not dynamic.
No, the implication is saying
that's what it sounds like.
What I'm saying is that I feel like I am the better candidate to him, or else I would not be running. I think we need to have somebody who can excite the full breadth of the electorate, because I'm not interested in just beating Donald Trump. Beating Donald Trump is a floor, it's not the ceiling. It gets us out of a valley, it doesn't get us to the mountaintop.
Right.
And I want to beat Mitch McConnell. We got to win in North Carolina. We got to win in Georgia. We got to have record African-American turnouts to do that.
Kentucky.
So we've got to win in Maine. We've got to win in Arizona. We've got to win in Iowa. So this has got to be a movement election. And then we have to have to our country, very sincerely, we're not going to solve big problems in this country in a partisan way. Even if we have the record election as Democrats, we need to be able to find the kind of common ground that got the only bill that's big bipartisan bill under this president is the one that I led from the Democratic side with Dick Durbin on criminal justice reform. We have to create new American majorities in this country, people that can inspire us, that the lines that divide us are nowhere near as strong as the ties that bind us. I think the theme, because the last confidential document I read in the basement of the Senate, where we go to read classified documents, the last one I read was what the Russians are doing to undermine our election. And a big part of their effort is to help divide this country. They're using our social media platforms to make us hate each other.
That is true.
Paper ballots.
Right. And so my call of this country is we have to find a way to put more indivisible back into this one nation under God to do the things we all need to get done. 90% of Americans believe on common sense background checks. 90% of Americans believe that we are way falling behind our competitors on things like infrastructure. South Korea, Germany, universal broadband. Our kids don't have access to internet.
Hold on.
Healthcare.
Better schools.
Because there's more to come, but we got to go. But we're coming right back. We'll be back with more with Cory Booker when we come back. Yeah. We're back with Senator Cory Booker. Megan.
Yes, Senator, thank you for coming on. One of the things that I like that you've said is that Medicare for all is unrealistic right now, given that it will never pass. But you do support mandatory gun buybacks. Now, when I heard you and Beto saying that, to me, that is like a left-wing fever dream. And I want to know how you think you and Beto are going to go into red states and go to my brother's house and get his AR-15s, because let me tell you, he's not giving it back.
So my point is this, and I'm not where Beto is in the way he's been talking about this issue.
Good, because he's crazy.
Well, again, we should watch the way we talk about each other. Seriously, we can't tear the character of people down. We have different beliefs.
He has no problem doing it to me.
Yeah,
I mean, he was very nasty to me about this.
But you and I both know that just because somebody does something to us doesn't mean we show the same energy back to them.
I'm not running for president, with all due respect. And also, the way he talked about me inciting violence on this, I take very seriously, and I speak for a lot of red state Americans. Whether he likes it or you like it or not, there's a lot of Republicans you're going to have to win over.
And Megan, you are a voice that I respect and admire.
And I respect your voice, too.
But this is a really important issue. What we say about other people says more about us than it does about them.
Okay, what about the gun buybacks,
and so one of the spirits I'm calling for in this election is for us to understand. I was running to get on a stage in Iowa, and this big guy sees me as about to jump on the stage. He goes, "Dude, I want you to punch Donald Trump in the face." And I don't hesitate. I go, "Dude, that's a felony." And I said, this is a moment where you need a revival of civic grace.
The gun buybacks.
Yeah, we need a revival of civic grace.
Buybacks.
Which is directly related to gun buybacks. These are not
Just tell me semantically how you're going to get my brother's gun back.
Look, machine guns, we don't have them on the streets anymore, right? Because in the 1980s, we banned them. And we had a practical way to do that. From Australia to New Zealand, they banned them and they got them off the streets.
So you're going to go to my brother's house?
No,
the buyback means he would volunteer.
We can find the evidence-based way to accomplish this as a country. Other countries have done it. We did it with machine guns. Why are we playing into fear-mongers that want to give this vision that there's going to be people showing up at your house and taking your guns away? That plays exactly into the corporate gun lobby. And I'm giving you examples of how we've done it in the past and how we can together do it in the future.
Australia did it.
So if it becomes a law, law, I think what you're saying is if it becomes a law, law-abiding citizens will follow the law.
Let me just tell you where this comes from. I live in a community, like millions of Americans do, where this isn't a policy issue. Shahad Smith was killed on my block, by an assault rifle last year. And the police officer described it to me that he wasn't shot, his head exploded.
Yeah.
We've had more people die in America in my lifetime than in every single war combined. And we're having arguments that divide us. All Americans agree on gun licensing. 70, 80% do. Agree on background checks. We can do this. We are a bigger country than this. And to have a nation where I sat with a teacher 2 days ago, who when the fire alarm went off, she didn't know exactly what to do, so she barricaded herself in her room, with her children watching her, panicking, because we now in America have more shelter-in-place drills in our country than fire drills. We have the strongest nation on the planet Earth has told our children, we can't protect you, so we're going to teach you how to hide.
It's outrageous.
So if I'm President of the United States, as a guy who's lived with gun violence, who sat with a child, trying to stop him from bleeding to death that was shot in my community, I'm not letting ourselves be divided by false arguments. We have things that we can do that we all agree on that if I am President of the United States, I will get done.
Okay.
I respect what you're saying. I respect it. And it's very unpopular in this room, but there's a big difference between saying you're for background checks and you're for mandatory gun buybacks. And again, it sounds one way in this room. I'm telling you how it sounds in Arizona.
I agree. That's why I'm saying.
And
that's
again,
why Beto can't play into that narrative.
Between you and Beto,
Okay, here's the deal right now.
We gotta go.
We're gonna go to break. And y'all gonna have the rest of this conversation.
No, we're not. It's fine.
All right. We'll be right back. We're back with Senator Cory Booker.
Now, you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary with your girlfriend, Rosario Dawson, who's here in the audience with you. But people love to point out that you're the only unmarried candidate in the race. And actually, we haven't had an unmarried president in over 100 years, believe it or not.
Oh, no.
So if you want to improve your odds, you got to get married. But
I don't care about
But my understanding is that Rosario is actually going to rent an RV and do a road trip around Iowa next month.
She's having fun. She knows that fundraising is an important thing, so you can literally go online and win a dinner with the two of us to CoryBooker.com. She's been helping a lot, and I'm blessed. But please don't try to put more pressure on our relationship.
I know.
It's not till 2021.
You know what? We have
this is more than the gun conversation.
Yeah, it's not till 2021 until I'm president. So we have to have
You are beautiful, and we love you. So come anytime because you make this guy look good.
We have
You do.
True.
we have an adulterer in the White House. Better you're not married.
I do have
Oh,
to
my
ask because you
God.
are all about bringing this country together. And I've been watching the Nats religiously, as has much of this country. In the game the other night, as I'm sure you saw, there was the chanting of lock him up, lock him up. The country's divided on this. I say, you know what, don't stoop to that level. Other people at this table don't agree with me. I'm curious, you are all about coming together as a country. Do you think that we should be doing this at a national scale?
Apropos of the conversation we're having with Meghan before.
Look, first of all, understand that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When I heard the chants to lock her up to Hillary Clinton, I found it just wrong.
Oh, I found it exhilarating.
And when they were saying,
oh, not to Hillary. No, not to Hillary.
To Hillary, right?
No, to this one.
Because again,
not Hillary.
When you're hurt, you want to punch back. But ultimately, that's the energy. I'm sorry, King said it so eloquently. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And what we forget in this country, and forgive me if this sounds like a radical thing to say, but patriotism is love of country. And you cannot love your country unless you love your fellow countrymen and women. And that doesn't mean we always agree or always like each other. But love is not a sentimentality. Love says that if your kid doesn't have a great public school, then I'm going to fight for your child.
But
can I ask this? Are we going to just quickly, after the impeachments are over, it's going to be public soon, is this country going to be more together as a result of impeachment, or are we going to be further apart?
90% of Republicans back Trump. Remember that.
Yes, but that's why this process matters. And if we need to, Democrats, all of us have an obligation to do this in an honorable way, in a sobered way. This is not a gleeful thing to take a sitting president out of office. All of us should see the gravity of that and do a process that helps to build more public trust in the process and build more through transparency, build more support.
That's the key.
Well,
And it would give a public hearing.
But I do think that you're going up against Trump, who is a thug. And I think think I appreciate what you're saying, but I also, like I said, I've been criticized by other presidential candidates, and I think we are living in a time where your message is one that's going to be hard because he is going to fight dirty.
And so I'll tell you this. I came up through Newark, New Jersey. Nobody in this campaign. There's an Oscar-nominated documentary called Street Fight about me battling out. So let me just tell you, all the thugs, racist demagogues in the past, how did we beat Bull Connor? By bringing bigger dogs and bigger fire hoses? Or did we have fearsome activists who stood up and called to the moral imagination of this country and got folks off the sidelines? Because we lost that last election because of what King said. It's not just the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, it's the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. I will inspire this election, in this election, in ways to get more engagement. And we will not only beat Donald Trump, but we will create a movement in this election, because it's not about the election, it's about the campaign for America. And we got work to do.
All right.
All right.
Thanks to Senator Cory Booker. We will back. CoryBooker.com. We'll be back.